Okay, welcome to the LDN Perspective. I'm here with my friends today,
Kojo,
Ali,
and Patrick.
And we have our special guest Patrick with us. I'm Mo, and we're going to be talking today about opportunities in Africa and how we can take advantage of those and what kind of opportunities and exposures we can have to that. Just to kick it off, really, I just wanted to throw the question in terms of how would we go about preparing ourselves for opportunities in Africa? What would you guys think to...
So I guess just from a bit, preparing yourself, I would say personally that you need to be ready for not necessarily a shock factor, but there is a change. Africa is different. Things are done differently to how things are done here. So if you're used to the Western world, you really have to be quite open to some of the challenges that you could face. And it's not a challenge that is a bad thing. It's a challenge that could actually, by it being a challenge, could create an opportunity, because a few people might have those kind of issues, if you get what I mean. So something like maybe how long it might take for things to be processed, maybe traffic might be something, maybe getting a place to stay, all these kind of little things that, or maybe even, I'm not sure about the type of market, the type of jobs, if you want to relocate, the kind of industry that you might want to go into. So all these kind of stuff is something I feel like, from my perspective, I'll say. I know there must be an extensive list, but I think that's what I'll kind of say. Not sure what you...
Well, for me, I haven't been to Africa for a while now, but recently traveling to Caribbean, I know it's off topic, but it's an example because we're the same. Travel to Caribbean such as Grenada, you need to prepare your mindset, your body, your mental side, your physical side, to understand that when you're going to this country, it's a different, as what Kojo just highlighted, it's quite different. Because we've grown up in this Western, our mentality, when we go there, we will not want to understand them. So we need to understand and adapt with them, and adapt quickly with them, because if you don't adapt quickly with them, you will find that you'll be struggling to maneuver a lot. Because an example, Western world, where we are, United Kingdom or London, we move quite quick. Traffic, when we're going to work, we're walking like 90 miles per hour. But when you go to Africa, it's 10 miles per hour. They take it easy. They get on the business, they go to the business, they work, their mind process is just different from us. It's not like they're not doing the work or they're not doing the job, but they are doing it. But it's just they don't stress about things. Their mindset is about today, let's finish today, and tomorrow will come. But we in the Western world, we're so worried, we're too fast paced with everything that we do. We not want to sit back sometimes and relax and then just compose ourselves. But Africa, they take them time, because first of all, in Africa, it's quite hot. It's quite hot. So imagine that you're rushing all the time. You can't even to cope up. You can't even to do any of that. And then, as what Kojo just tapped into, accommodation is one thing that is vital. It's not like here, when I'm going to Europe, for example, or Portugal, I can go to booking.com and get accommodation, and I know how long I'm going to stay. But in Africa, it's either your family members has a house, or your friend has a house, or someone that you know has a house. If you don't have any of those, it's really hard, because you don't know the currency, you don't know your whereabouts. But there is an opportunity.
But then is it not a case of just booking a hotel then?
But then,
because there are hotels, you can book a hotel.
I understand, but then, this is part of Africa now. What part of Africa has the facility to book a hotel that you can go in?
There's lots of African countries that you go, what?
No, but I'm just trying to make the listener understand. In certain part of Africa, like Ghana, like Uganda, like South Africa, the modernized or the upcoming Africans region, in that they are doing good. But in such as country like maybe Sierra Leone, my country, or like Senegal, for example, it is there, but it's not as open within the internet, for example, or making your way, or someone or your members or your family will know someone how to help you out about. That's what I'm trying to get at, because it's not like it's easy, but it can be easy. You understand? So that's what I kind of understand about. Yeah.
Okay, so also just to add on,
Yeah.
I think the first thing for people to do if they want to invest in Africa, from what my brother is saying, the first thing is for people to visit Africa.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at a continent like Africa from a different perspective, from another continent, from another country, and you've not visited, Africa, you're thinking about investment, and your notion about infrastructure and all that wouldn't be, as accurate. Africa is very advanced. It's advancing. Africa is a new market.
Yeah.
Other continents now are choked with competition and all that. Africa is a new market. And the pace at which Africa is running, 10, 20 years time, Africa will be the continent to look out for. In terms of internet and other infrastructure, they're very fast. So for me, the first thing, anyone who wants to invest in Africa is just to go there, do your own, analysis, see what is there in terms of infrastructure, see what is there in terms of opportunity, see what is there in terms of partnership. Then you can, put together, your ideas. One important thing is Africa is not looking for, little investments, because people who are in Africa are doing marvelously.
Yeah.
So investments that we need in Africa are things that will take Africa to the next level. If you go to Africa and want to invest in, little things, you'll be marveled that people are doing more than that.
Yeah.
So what Africa needs from people, especially people of African descent, is to gain the necessary knowledge that will take Africa to the next level. And if you have such a knowledge and you go there, you study the environment, you know what is there, you know what is lacking, then you're able to put in, the right strategy and partnership and all that. But if you are, distance, you just watch what the media says about Africa and think, there's more to it. In terms of even how people work, it's based on the environment, right? If you take Europe, London, you have to catch a train by a certain time.
Yeah.
Africa, you have your own car. You have public transport that doesn't take off in 15 minutes, 30 minutes. You understand? Yeah. So that actually shapes the culture there. You understand? Yeah. So if you are doing a comparison, you have to look at the context as well. So what Africa needs is investment as, if you look worldwide.
Yeah.
If you look at Japan and other countries that suffered after Second World War, they actually got people to go out there and get the knowledge and bring it back.
Yeah.
They didn't bring, knowledge that would set up, a small kiosk shop and employ one or two people. They brought knowledge that, that could employ and change lives. And that's the sort of investment Africa is looking for.
Yeah. You know what? It's so fantastic that you said that, because that is literally the kind of chain of thought I was thinking, just in terms of previous family friends I know that have gone to explore opportunities in Africa. And it really is going there first. And like any business, even here in the UK, you do your due diligence. So you check out how things work, what the market is like, and even if it's just moving there property-wise, you want to go there and see how the property market is, or how the rental system works and stuff like that. For example, we spoke about how in Africa, a lot of the rent payment, you pay a year in advance or 2 years in advance. Right. Here we do it monthly. You can't be going there with that assumption that it's the same thing.
You're not able to live, And even adding to that, and it's just my personal experience. And obviously, I'm someone that goes to Ghana. I do visit Ghana quite a lot. But when I wanted to start business in Ghana, what I should have actually done is that I should have gone and looked at the segment of what I wanted to do to fully do the analysis work that Patrick just mentioned, to understand the products that I was bringing in. What I didn't do is that I was doing my research, sitting here whilst calling people, checking websites, seeing what is out there. And the products that I ended up taking there, 80% the market didn't want, because they wanted a different color. Now, it's just simple as a color of a PC, which was that detrimental to my business. Because literally, that's how it fell apart. Yeah. So definitely agree that it's not just someone that goes Africa, so Africa. No. If you're actually going into a specific segment, it would be good to actually go there with the mind of trying to understand how that is set up and what infrastructures are there to actually support that.
And I think that was one of the reasons for the year of return, for people just to come home, just see what is there.
Yeah.
So it changes your perception, and you know which areas you can take advantage of in terms of investment and all that.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.
Patrick, I just want to touch into something.
Yes.
You, current right now, you are based in Ghana, right?
Yeah.
What we're discussing right now to go back home is an eye-catching, is an opportunity, but from what I'm understanding, my opinion, this is just my opinion, the Western Africans are either scared or they feel that there's no foundation for them to go back home. How would you, that you are based in Ghana right now and you're doing well, you're very successful back home, what would you say for Western and African that we are here now, that we are young? What would you say to them? What was your advice? What is your key skill for them? Because as what you're saying, to go back home, we are the generation. We need to go back home. What we've learned, each one of us here, we need to go back home and implement that. But what would you say? What's your opinion?
I like the part that you said I'm very successful. I'm still on the journey. So yes, I think we've touched on the first thing, going home and assessing the environment. When we say, Africa, people of African descent should come home, it doesn't mean they should relocate.
No.
That's not the idea. It's just to come around, look at what is there, look at the opportunities and all that, how you can contribute.
Yeah.
You understand? So, of course, being in a Western country and going to Africa, there's a vast difference.
Absolutely.
You understand? In terms of transport, in terms of, the ease of getting things, it's there. So people that are being asked to come back home are people that, want to contribute. So despite the obstacles that you may face, because it's there, that's the truth, because the two economies are not the same. The level of development in Europe is not the same as Africa or Ghana. So of course there will be some challenges. But the core is for people who want to give their quota to where they come from. So people who want to invest and they know I'm going to face some challenges, but I wouldn't let transport issue be an obstacle for me. Some people go there and they are, because the transport system is not like maybe Europe, they give up. Then you are not there to invest. So if you want to invest in Africa, you have to have that mindset that this is what I want to do. And in every business, even in Europe, you face challenges.
Yes.
So if you're an entrepreneur and you're afraid of challenges and you easily give up, then you may not be able to, as it were, be successful. One other thing is also partnership. You are very new to the environment. So coming home is to meet people, partner, and look around. So there are certain things that people who are there may, have more knowledge on and let's do it with. And it will ease, some of your difficulty coming from another.
But then people might say the trust.
I don't know why people say that. There's no group of people who are more trusting than the other.
Yes, that's a fact.
You understand?
That's just human nature.
Exactly. So it's like how we box people and stereotype them. That these people are like that, blacks are like that, whites are like that, Africans are like. It's just
let me give a bit of context to what Ali is saying, though. So I agree with what you're saying, but a bit of context of what Ali is saying is because a lot of the Africans in the Western world, it's like, for instance, they might set up some sort of, building a house per se, or starting off a business. And they might have trusted friends or family members that they might actually be using. So in regards to that partnership, it depends on how you want to see the partnership. It could be that money is flowing in their hands and giving them a bit of money to sustain their life or whatever not. But I guess in general, what I've seen around me is that people are always complaining about the specific people that money is running through. They, A, maybe not doing that job, or B, spending too much standing. So I guess it's coming from that context of when people are trying to bridge the gap from here and trying to do something without actually being on the ground and that trust. But I do take that point on board. Anywhere of any walk of life, trust is a problem.
Just to add on to that, of course, the standard of living in Africa is different from here. So, of course, you may have experienced one or two issues pertaining to giving funds to somebody to invest and all that. That is why you need to come and build a partnership.
Okay.
You know, there are people in Africa who have also sent money to people in Europe for a project, and they've also spent the money. So it's about you building a partnership, you coming there first, understanding the environment, getting partners, and having a legal entity. Legal agreement. If, for instance, you want to do something, if you come to Ghana, for instance, you want to invest, and you have partners, you have the right contract and all that. It's more secure than you sitting here sending money to a friend.
Yeah.
To do something for you. It's quite dangerous that way. Yeah.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.
I guess you mentioned legal, then the legal side of things, and I wonder how the rule of law actually kind of works. Not that it doesn't work, but I just wonder how that works, or the challenges that one might face. So there are scenarios where someone might want to acquire land. So in regards to the investment, it could be seen in multiple ways. It could be maybe someone that grew up in Ghana like myself that wants to go back to settle or want to try to set up some stuff there. So in relation to that, you might want to buy some land. Maybe you want a home, you want to build a home in Africa, that kind of stuff. So I guess the question I'm asking is that the people that want to do that journey of maybe having like, let's say some sort of holiday home or retirement home in Africa, and the legalities around maybe land ownership, or even the question that you put before regarding rental and how that kind of works. So one scenario could be buying the land, how that kind of works and the challenges around that. The other scenario could be rental, even if you've agreed up front. So let's say 3 years and you've paid up front. What does that actually mean? If there's something broken, would your landlord come and fix it? Or all those kind of stuff, just to give a bit of thing for people that might be want to do that journey from that aspect of things.
Of course, I can't deny that there are land issues in Ghana. The fact that in Africa, the land most of the time is owned by the family. Yeah. And that's what creates, the problem. Maybe you have seven siblings, and one person goes sell to one person, the other, they have issues.
Most sold my land without telling me. Nonsense guy, and he spend the money.
But it's not. There are legal processes, that also try to restrain people from, selling land to multiple people and all that. And there are genuine entities and companies who sell land. And so for me, it's also, from what I said earlier, it boils down to the network that you build, the right people that you do business with. If you go to Ghana now and maybe you go to an individual that I'm looking for land to buy, you understand, you may find yourself in some difficulty. But if you want to buy a property, you go to the net, even from here, you search, credible companies, that build flats, build apartments, and they have property to sell. Of course, the price will be different, but then you get a genuine property. Exactly. But if
there are mortgages as well.
Yes, there are mortgages that even banks finance for and all that. So it's you getting to know the environment. One, a lot of people or some of the people who find themselves in some of this situation are people who are here. They fall on friends and family who also go looking for land, asking, those kind of So sometimes the process. If you buy it through reputable entity,
because I'm glad you said that, because I know what you find is a lot of people naturally you want to cut corners or go for cheap things and save money. But I always say the same question: what would you do if you were here in the UK? Normally, you don't actually really listen to friends or family. You go to a professional, right?
Sure.
And you need to have that same mentality as well when you go back home. So that's one of the things I always encourage people is that don't try cut corners, because sometimes it's actually going to land you in a worse situation.
There's a stigma there, because when we are here, we seem to go through the process. But as soon as we know we're saying it's back home, we want to cook. That's the stigma. That's the problem.
I agree.
I don't know why.
I agree, but we have to say here, and I'm always one to think, I love my country, but we understand that the processes sometimes does not work, but because even people in official capacity might not follow that process. And I say that because I've personally experienced this, where I went to Ghana. I went to the Ghana High Commission office in the UK, got partnership with people that I need to see in Ghana. And the minute I got to Ghana and I started having those conversations, it was very difficult to get anything done. Right? So I do understand that there are processes, and I totally agree with Patrick. In regards to some of these land ownership, there are so many different ways you could do it. like going through people that actually, like they buy a whole estate, they buy like a development, and you could buy a plot there and you could build there, or you could get a mortgage. Those are really good avenues. But I must say though, sometimes through those fishing lines as well, it could be very, very stressful. But it goes back to the point that was made before. You need to understand your environment and understand that going into this market, these are some of the challenges. So going back to the stuff that you said, overcoming those challenges and how invested you are to invest in Africa, you should be able to overcome that as an entrepreneur. So that, I thought I'll put that.
I mean, just one way around what you just said. I know because I had the same issue as well. But I actually was in touch with a lawyer over there, and they helped me navigate through the government entities or whatever. And sometimes I feel people shouldn't be afraid to use that channel, try the legal side, because then people do kind of act a bit more
they're scared.
Correctly
in Africa,
in what they're supposed to do.
I think, as I said earlier, the process works in Africa, but in terms of the timing, in Europe, things are very swift. The processes are very swift.
Yeah.
You understand? In Africa, it may take a while, and people want to fast track those processes, and they rather create, the problem.
Yeah, sure.
If you want to stick to the process, you will get it done. But maybe you may not have it, fast track as you want it.
Yeah.
You understand? So the process is there, and a lot of the processes now are being automated. Process of acquiring passports, other, clearing your goods and all that, so that it takes away the bureaucracy aspect of it to reduce the turnaround time for some of these things. But for someone coming from Europe, his experience of the process will be different, and he might be frustrated. So that's why partnership is very important.
I think it's more to do with managing expectations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think just going back on the stuff that you guys are saying, I totally agree. A process could be, if you want to wait end to end, it could take you 3 months to clear something.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because, yes, and understand the fast track aspect, but when you are doing business and you have a container sitting in the yard, and this, I'm talking about this from a personal experience wise, and you have a container sitting in the yard, and then you're trying to go to official line trying to understand that. Like, what do you need to do? How do you... I'm sorry, but to be waiting 3 months or 4 months to wait for that process to... I'm sorry, that to me is very difficult.
Let me add to that.
Yeah. So it's not that I'm not saying that I should know and I should try to find ways to handle that. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that current process, the ASIS process, it needs to be finished. So one thing could be that's the ASIS process. And like in this country, how they make money, even for passport, is that they have a fast track.
Yes.
You just pay more money and they'll give you a turnaround. So for instance, I will know the turnaround to say that if I choose this line, it's going to take me X amount of time. Yeah. So when I'm shipping my products, I know that doing this process is going to take me X amount of time. So I budget that in, because you need to really understand when you are doing business and you want a quick turnaround, because the return on investment is very important for you to then reinvest. Yeah. You have to know these things, like in writing. That's what makes it easier. But what I'm saying here is that in some of these processes, it's not so outlined in regards to how long it will take. I'm not saying it's never going to happen. It will happen, as in you will get it done. But the question is, how long would that take?
Let me add to that as well. When you do the process, this is the catching bit Africa needs to start. When that process is going through 3 months, you apply, then they say pay more money. Then you apply, then you say pay more money. And the time you're on the 3rd month, they say you apply, and you have to pay more money. So by the time you add it all that 3 months, you have spent a lot of money. And that's what I don't like.
I feel like a traitor. I feel like a traitor. I'm sorry, but...
It's fine. We're sharing ideas.
No, but I hate that. I hate that. So back to my first point. Yes.
We all need to visit the environment.
Yes.
Because a lot of the things that we are saying are not the reality on the ground. The fast track passport, there's a fast track process.
No, that's for a passport thing.
Yeah, no,
I mean for other processes.
It's an example. And there's no way you go in for a service and somebody will come and say pay this and come back and say, unless you yourself you are taking the other route. I'm coming.
Definitely.
You understand? So as I said earlier, the process is not as we can't compare Europe, some of the processes in Europe to Africa. But for instance, back to Kujo's example, if you're an importer and you've imported a container goods, and you understand the environment that in Ghana, even that process has been automated now, the clearing and all that. In Ghana, it takes 2 weeks or 1 week to clear goods. You understand the environment. As a business person, it helps you to strategize. It helps you to plan. That this environment, maybe UK takes 2 days. In Ghana, it takes a week. Okay, this is the environment I'm dealing with. So this is how I'm going to play my cards as a business. So you understand the environment.
And then also you mitigate
Exactly.
as well. So if it's a week, you give like 2 or 3
and,
extra days.
Exactly. And if we all come on board, it will get to a time we also do like if UK is doing 2 days, we also be doing 2 days.
For me, the only thing I'll say is that as long as it's outlined, so you as a business person, what I'm saying here is that from my experience from some of these channels, it wasn't outlined. I didn't know how long it was going to take for that process end to end. That's the only thing I'm saying, because if it's outlined to me, whether it takes 3 months or not, I should know how to get around that. Yeah. So I agree with that.
So the information is also very important. To get the relevant information.
So as long as you're going into this, you're doing that, and they're saying, look, it takes this long, then you know how you need to manage that. Because as a business owner, you need to know how to do these things. It's part and parcel of mitigating.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.
We African, the Western, going back, the challenges that we're going to be facing, is it more other countries are coming to Africa? Is there challenges we want to face on that? Because there's a lot of competition. Like, for example, you've got the Asian part are coming. You've got part of the Europeans are coming. You've got the Americans are coming. What is it for us as an African? We going back, what kind of advantage is there or disadvantage that we're going to account to?
Yes, I'm sure this will be for the government officials, but I have a slight idea on it. I'll touch on that. Of course, there are certain requirements for investors who are not Ghanaian in terms of capital, in terms of size of your business and all that. It's also different from Ghanaians. There are even certain areas of business that if you're a foreigner, you can go into, which are very retail related.
So there's no entry if you're non-Ghanaian.
No. So of course, the whole idea about investment is we want people to come in to put in place structures or companies that will employ people that will impact the economy. Yes. So if, for instance, if a Ghanaian has a tabletop, kind of retail selling biscuits and all that, we don't want Africa is not looking for investors who will come and also set up table and sell packs of biscuits and all that. You understand? So of course, as an investor coming, there are certain levels that you can play. As a Ghanaian, you also have certain level that you can play. Partnership. There are certain areas that even as a foreigner, you need to have Ghanaian partners to go into.
Do you know the regulations?
No, I don't have to.
Just adding to that point.
I know in somewhere like Angola, you can't own a business without having 50% of the business owned by an Angolan citizen.
Is it?
And that's what I was just going to add to that, because even when I did set up a business in Ghana, like we literally officially registered it, and you can't have for a foreigner, they need to have a Ghanaian person on board. And if you don't, there's a different like pricing structure that you need to pay, and it will be way higher than someone.
Look, the whole idea is for people to come in and impact the environment. You understand? You can't come in and be doing basically nothing. You understand? Basically nothing in terms of investment. So if you want to invest, then you need to do something that would actually impact as well.
I read an article that is saying the Chinese are coming and they are overtaking. They're bringing their own laborers on board, doing the infrastructure, and then once they train them, they're not allowing the people that owns the country to understand what they've done, and then from there they will just stay within the region and then just take over. That's what I'm hearing in Africa. That's what's happening now. From what you're experiencing, is that something happening?
You know how news goes, but what I've experienced is there were some issues around Chinese people going to the segments that I just talked about. Typically, as I said, as an investor, you don't want an investor coming and setting up a tabletop kind of business. Then what sort of investment are you bringing? Because they come in with the notion that they come to invest and understand their tax waivers and all that. If you are coming in to invest, I don't know that, but I know if you're an investor to promote you're coming and you helping the country. There are certain things that is also done to support you. So if you're an investor, you come in and you also do what everybody you apply. I mean, you employ one or two people. You do just one shop selling padlocks and keys. So there's been issues where the citizens were saying, guys, governments, you need to enforce this law because there's a clear demarcation that, as an investor, there are certain things that, you can be doing. And a few things about galamsey and all that. But I think the focus of the discussion
What's galamsey? Sorry. What's that?
So it's mining,
illegal mining of it's not illegal, but
it's
it's just mining of
illegal
gold.
license,
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the most important thing that we need to focus on now is what are the opportunities, what we can do, how we as people of African descent outside Africa, how we can invest in Africa, you understand, and also help shape the next generation of Africa, the Africans and the economy, and even
Can I add something?
Because just going on from what you just said, because I do encourage a lot of people to visit a lot of diaspora networks that you'll find for Ghana. You've got UK trade conventions, and they happen all over the world. It can be one for Ghana, it can be for Uganda, it can be for Nigeria. And I believe the whole point of those kind of conventions is, one, you get to actually talk to people that are on the ground in those countries, get an idea of what you would invest in and how that would work, and also build partnerships, and also meet other people like yourself that could be in the UK that want to invest back home. And then so you've got someone else that you can work with to invest back home as well. So definitely visit any diaspora network.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.
Well, what I was going to ask is that for as some sort of secondary kind of research, you could have someone that's right now thinking about some sort of industries that they might want to invest in Africa. From your, obviously living there and looking at how the structure of the countries, what are some of the industries that you say that they might be booming, or they might be the industries to look into, to maybe look at investment kind of opportunities within those industries?
Right. Of course, there are a lot of, as I said, there are a lot of opportunities in Africa. If you take the West, there are a lot of companies. So the West is actually getting choked. Now the opportunities are in Africa, and it cuts across a lot of areas. For me, as I said earlier on, because of the infrastructural development and all that not being at par with Europe, if you are investing, then you have to invest in, and if you have to ensure that you are willing to, go in as an entrepreneur. You're likely to face one or two challenges, but you're willing not to give up, and also you're able to, as it were, partner people to ensure that whatever you want to undertake is successful. In terms of investment opportunities, there are a lot of them. You also need to have passion for what you want to do, because that will also keep you going when there are certain bureaucratic processes, or there are certain things that is taking longer than you expect. If you have interest, passion in what you're doing, you're able to overcome all those things. Agric, as we all know, is one big area in Africa. In talking about agric, even if you talk about agriculture to Africans, Africans who are coming up, they try to shy away from it, because what the mindset is the usual old cutlass and old kind of weeding. But now there are a lot of technology that it can be deployed to agriculture, that you don't need even to go to the farm.
No.
A typical example is now the use of satellite to even monitor the farm, test the soil texture, look at where there's more need for irrigation, where there are pest infestation. It's that kind of investment, that level of participation that Africa needs. So, for instance, it's not about going to buy a land as an entrepreneur from you. It's just saying, okay,
So I don't want to interrupt. I just want to say, is there any particular industries though? Like, could it be? So I'll give you an example here. We have, let's say, a lot of young ladies that like the whole fashion, nail, clothing, whatever. Is there any industries in Africa that you've identified or noticed that are really growing really well that someone here could try and replicate over there?
Yes, so exactly what I was saying. So, in terms of the industry, I've talked about. I think agric is an industry
agriculture.
you
mentioned.
and I was just trying to explain the sort of investment or the sort of partnership that people can go into. I'm not just thinking that if I'm going to agriculture, I'm going to do the sowing and harvesting and all that. But you can just have the technology and use that to partner with farmers.
Because it's a huge thing.
Exactly.
It is.
Yes, you can just partner with farmers.
Yeah.
It's not about pumping money there, just having the technology, saying this is the partnership that I want to give. I will ensure that your farm, is intact by giving you this kind of, service, ensuring that, wherever there are any issues, pest infestation, where there's a need to weed, I have all that data. I have market readily available.
Yeah.
So, or even I want to invest in fertilizer for you.
Okay.
So you have the land, you have the farm, you will do it. I'll provide this kind of service. After that, we have a contract. After that, I have the market, and this is how we're going to split it.
Yeah.
You understand? So those level of investment, those level of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, because
Sorry
to interrupt. Because agriculture in Africa is quite lacking. In a sense, it's quite lacking because a lot of the villagers want to come in the city, in the town, and they're neglecting the village, and that's where most of the development are in. And then when foreigners are seeing that, they want to go to Africa to go more to the village and implement that. Because if you notice about Africa, it's quite huge. So when you start off from the village and you make your way to the city, then you capture Africa within itself or the region, or in that, for example, Ghana. Because I know a friend that actually are doing a business in Ghana and they're doing agriculture. So they're selling pigs and cows and chicken. And it's not to say they have to sell or do a plantation. No, you can do animals.
Right.
And then from that animals, it reproduce, and then they take it to the market or they make more contracts and all of that. This is what Africans, because in my country, for example, in Sierra Leone, when we had the war 2000 and then it stopped, and within 10 years, people started realizing people are starting to move from the village and go into the city.
Yeah.
And then who's going to reproduce the agriculture or make farm? There was not enough people to do that and then that's when we was lacking of food and starvation. So then obviously other people right now they want to develop, they want to create a new city in Sierra Leone. So when people are moved from that village, it's allowed a lot of opportunity for land which is not used. So because of that, people just come in and trying to invest because they've signed the contract already to do the city. Based on that, just on agriculture, and then what we don't understand in African, Western world need us when it comes to agriculture, because there's going to be a time because the soil here is not good. Everything that we're eating here is not good. So most of the stuff that they do get is in Africa. If you notice now in Tesco, Sainsbury's, even Waitrose, even Marks and Spencer, they're selling like Maggi, palm oil, all of this stuff that Africans before 10 years ago they never used to sell it. Sure. But now out of the blue they're selling it. So these are the kind of stuff. I understand what you're getting at, because we need to be able to capture agriculture. Agriculture is the key point for Africa. Once you lose that, that's it.
Right. And I think the focus for Africa is to take it to a commercial level.
Yes.
It's because of the technological, hindrance.
Yes.
Most farming is just subsistence, just small kind of farming. But if it's taken to, there are this kind of investment, technological, assistance and all that. The market in Africa is huge. The products there are purely organic, and people want to pay price for it, higher price for it. The other thing, other areas, the e-commerce is also fast growing industry in Ghana.
Okay.
Developing apps and interfaces that links, customers to, customers to, let's say, producers. Let's say, for lack of better word. One of the big areas, even if we take the financial institution, it's even developing apps, payment system that's it's just phone-based, mobile money and all that. It's huge now. You understand? Developing apps that can apps, let's say miniature Amazon and all that. You can go there and get everything that you need. You can have apps that link, passengers to drivers to reduce traffic. Germany. Sorry.
Patrick,
Yes.
is this in Kenya?
Yes, it started in Kenya,
That's it.
but it's almost all of Africa.
Really?
It's a big area. Yes,
Okay.
more. So you can send money to even your grandmother in the village with just a phone. And the person withdraws there. You can keep money on it. You can send money, receive money, and all that.
That's like MTN and Mango and all
And
those.
no, all the telcos are actually on it. And those are the things, the app development, the e-commerce aspect, and all that. You understand? And it will help reduce a lot of the things that are in Africa. And from where you guys sit, or from people who are outside Africa, once you come there, you have eye for details. In terms of what you've experienced,
Yes.
to say what are some of the challenges here, and those are the areas that you need to take advantage of.
Yeah.
If now we are saying transport is a big issue, you wouldn't be able to catch the bus on time and all that. That's an area for investors.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
It may take a simple thing in my sense as developing an app to even link some drivers, not commercial drivers,
Yes.
even private drivers who are going to certain routes with potential other drivers who want to leave their cars behind,
Yes.
Yeah.
like blah blah in some European countries and all that. So those are the areas you need to be there to actually do your own feasibility study to see there's a gap here, there's a gap here. And that's what an entrepreneur does. You see an opportunity, you see something that is a deficiency in the system, then that's where you see an opportunity to correct it, to invest in there. And that's why the call for people who are outside to come, because they've experienced different environment. The world over developed by picking best practices from other countries. Once upon a time, Africans were taken to go and develop other places.
Yeah.
The strong, those were smart, were taken to go and help develop other places. It's also time for us to bring whatever we gain home.
I want to
It's,
ask
it's learning best practice.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.
I was going to ask a question because you mentioned e-commerce, and then you mentioned some of the stuff to do with apps, and even you mentioned maybe building up some sort of platform, like the whole linking Amazon to all that kind of stuff. And one of our colleagues had a question just around how internet is kind of changing trading in Africa. So I wonder how that kind of shaping, because I'm guessing from some of the accounts that you mentioned, I'm guessing there's entrepreneurs that are kind of building platform. But internet in general, how's that kind of shaping trading in Africa?
Internet is actually what is driving the new goods in Africa, because everybody needs, or customers needs, the ease of whatever service, the ease involving getting whatever service they need. So if you take almost every aspect of the economy, and for people to also be about the competition, you need to be able to deploy internet. To, as it were, ensure you are on top of the game. If you come to the banking industry, of course, everything now, you understand, everything now is actually at the fingertips of the customer, based on internet. You can virtually open an account on your phone. You understand? We're talking about transfers now. You can do transfers on your phone without going to even the banking environment. You understand? So in every aspect of the economy, things are being automated, as the example that I cited. Clearing of goods automated. Applying for everything is
It's driving innovation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uber and other things are all they are all relying on the internet to as it were push their services. Real estate. Now we can sit here and get a mortgage. You understand? Apply for a mortgage in Africa. It's all based on the internet.
It's not a bad idea at all.
There are offshore accounts. There are offshore account that you can sit here and have and get other service. So it's what's actually driving the growth. That's the future, because everybody wants ease. Every customer, if you want to get your customer on board or not to leave you, it's based on how fast and the ease in giving that lesson on what people say.
Perspectives, different views, one voice.
I did want to touch on something before we wrap up, and I know that you're in the whole banking industry. Is that right? In Ghana, the banking.
Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of someone that is, let's say, a Ghanaian citizen, but here in the UK, what access to funds could they access from the banking system in Ghana to develop a business, or how would someone go about doing that?
So earlier on coming in, I told you I'm not here in the capacity as a banker.
I was just saying your familiarity.
I'm here, in my own capacity. But for the banking environment, there are opportunities. Recently, the government of Ghana increased the minimum capital to have more robust, bank who can finance a lot of bigger projects and all that. And there's huge competition in the banking industry. I may not sit here and be able to tell you if you come, the bank will give you this rate or that rate. You understand? But then it starts with the conversation. It starts with coming down. It starts with building a network to understand the environment and speaking with the relevant people to understand even the sort of investment you're into. You understand? Or how huge your investment is to be able to negotiate a rate for you. You understand? Because some bank will be willing to negotiate a very good deal with you if your project is actually also profitable. It's huge and all that.
Yeah. Because I basically recently I wanted to go and basically do like promotions, raves and stuff back there. But for me, I was on a premises where I only wanted to do it on a basis where I could have some kind of payment terminals in terms of any of the venues or the events that I had. And the struggles that I had was getting a merchant license to set that up in time, because I was also on a time restraint, in time for the event, so that, let's say, anyone that wants to buy drinks or whatever and stuff, I wanted to do it as a strictly no cash event. So you just pay by card and doing that. And I struggled setting up that kind of infrastructure. So I was just wondering in terms of...
So as I said earlier, Africa, I don't know which part of Africa, but or which part of town in Africa that, or which even bank was involved. You understand? So this competition, huge competition, and there are a lot of advancements in terms of even the banking system, right? Where now we are facing out even the tellers, where you go self-service and all that. Pause. I mean, system for you to use your cards and all that. They are there. If you come often to some of these countries, you go to restaurants, other shops, they have the facilities there. So as I said, if for instance in your case, you went to a particular bank and you're not getting that service, or they did not guarantee you that service, or your experience with them wasn't that good. It's a matter of getting a more reliable.
No, I mean, in my situation, I accept my personal expectations were not correct to what was available.
Right.
So I wanted it in, like, let's say within a month, have this and this in place and stuff. But then I understand that it takes a lot longer, especially me coming from the outside.
Right.
I know someone locally probably could have done it quicker and set that all up. And it is there already. It's not like I was asking for something that wasn't there.
Yeah. Because even the KYC for foreigners are different.
Yes, exactly.
But when did you go? That was the question.
So I was trying to do something for New Year's.
Exactly. So now what Patrick is saying is is changed. So within that period, it was
This
just
is a few months ago, right?
yeah, but a few months is still something. You know what I mean?
So I think what he's saying is he now knows that it takes longer than
Yeah.
in terms of turnaround time.
Yeah.
But previously,
It's
the
just-
expectation
yeah.
was different.
I was trying.
It
to
just
do
goes back to the
thing.
stuff.
It was my thing.
So the other issue would be, if you ask me, is,
Yeah.
so for instance, if you go to a bank A and they say they can deploy that service in 2 weeks' time, you understand?
Yeah.
And you go to bank B, you are likely and you also pitch whatever
what
you want.
Yeah.
You understand? Because it's a competitive environment.
Yeah.
In in Ghana now, I think most of the processes are changing, one because of competition alone.
Okay.
You understand? The turnaround time and all that
Yeah.
are changing because of competition. Because your next neighbor or the next bank or the next company will give to the customer at a faster rate based on whatever the customer is bringing.
Yeah.
So, as I said, you need to understand the environment. You need
Yeah.
to have partnership and say, okay, we want this in a week's time. Now, the banks are saying they can do it, or this company is saying it can do it in a month's time. We can pitch the same to company B. This is what I'm bringing. This is the offer that I'm getting. Are you able to do better?
Yeah.
So, yes.
Is there credit? The credit reports.
Credit reports, yes. There's it's a requirement actually.
Because imagine I'm just someone to go. I'm not gonna
Yes.
go. Bank not gonna give me the money without me. They checking on me.
It's a requirement by the central bank.
Okay.
That we get your credit report before when you are going for facility.
Okay.
It's part of the checks. So that's why I've said we need to visit and understand the environment.
Yeah.
Sometimes we may think there are a lot of things that are not there, but Africa is fast.
Yeah,
fast
trust
growing.
me, man.
Yeah,
Trust
Africa
me.
is fast.
You miss a year, you go, and there's so many different
Yeah.
things. I can say that. I guess the only thing I would like to ask is, from Western, when you say investment, because the investment that we're talking about here sounds like large scale investments
Right.
here. And I don't want to scare away people that are thinking
Yeah,
of starting something and then building it up and all those kind of stuff. I'm guessing that's not what you're saying, but you're just saying finding a gap that would kind of sustain something.
So, to your question, in terms of the sort of investment, we can't exhaust the list of investment opportunities in Africa here, and it also depends on the person who wants to invest and the sort of, the level of investment that a person would need to do. So, we're not scaring people. It's just for us to say, just look at the opportunities and see the ones that you have the zeal for, and the ones that you have the skills for, the one that you have the funds for, then you go into it. So there are several, opportunities out there. In terms
Perspectives,
of-
different views, one voice.
Can I just ask the last wrapping up question? Just the impact of year of return on the ground. As in, you were around doing the whole, because it was the whole year anyway. But you were around doing the whole December period and stuff. Innit? What is the impact for yourself, like in regards to some of the industry? So, because I watch a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of people saying, yeah, there was booming this. For yourself being on the ground, what was it like for you?
I think the impact was across board. From people first landing. Of course, traffic was more in terms of flights and all that. Country gained a lot. In terms of cab drivers, in terms of the hotel industry, in terms of food, in terms of banks, the number of, if you like, fees and commissions that they got from people using their visas, and you understand, their visas and all that. It was across. Because once you're in a country, you eat. If you are lucky and you have families and you're not, lodging in a hotel. If you are lodging, you pay. If you go out, you pay for car. You engage with people. A lot of them who came also, who had initially, what I call this, the media or social media mindset of Africa, also had, a transformation, and there were opportunities for people.
Like that.
There were opportunities for people to actually who wanted to become nationals of Ghana, like citizens.
Nationality.
Yes, they got the opportunity. In where I work, I met with one of them. We had a session where we needed someone, clinical psychologist, to come up, and She came on, she was like, "Oh, you are my first group that I'm meeting. I just got my citizenship, just a month ago, So, and those who also came also realized that a lot of things that they've heard about Africa and all that were not the case. So most of them actually, are likely to come back.
Okay.
A lot of them
It's a beautiful thing.
a lot of them, made the partnership deals with other people. They made friends. So it's a good thing to, as it were, travel, as people say. Sometimes we don't move around, and our opinion is just based on what we see on TV or what we read, which is very skewed, sometimes.
Yeah, most times, yeah. Totally agree.
No, yeah, I know. You've got countries that are bribing for World Cup just to bring the traffic in and the infrastructure and what it does to just your normal cab person that now has more fares coming through to your greengrocer or whoever. Everybody wins if you've got that economy booming like that. So I can imagine, and the city's gone up as well now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's I think in 2020 it's the fastest growing. Right. Or it's the fastest growing currency. Yeah.
It's also gave entrepreneurs more ideas because now people were looking for like more hotels. You understand? People were booking in 6 months, 3 months hotels. Most hotels were booked.
Yeah.
Yes.
I told him, man. He could do Airbnb. He's got places to do Airbnb because of the traffic that's getting into the country.
So if an investor look at him like, that's an opportunity right there, because this is going to be, I think yearly. Yeah. And I understand other African countries are also looking at it because it's a good opportunity for Africa. And I pray to get to a time where we'll have like an African bloc, kind of celebration. Year of return, West Africa, year of return. Central year of return Africa. So
that's the opportunity for us. Around and opportunity for us to set up that. Yeah, no, that's good. I think Nigeria, that's the door return. I'm not sure of how legitimate that is, but I've heard of the door return. What is that? Is that even? I'm not even throwing shades. Is this? Oh my goodness! No, it wasn't. I'll take that out. No, I didn't. I'm not too sure whether that's a real thing or not. But I've seen the documentation and it looks real, but I don't know whether that's a real thing.
I can't confirm, but I've seen it on social media.
Yeah, social media. There's been a lot.
On the internet, when you Google now, you see
it. Perspectives, different views, one voice.
Okay, yeah, no, I mean, this has been a really interesting conversation. I mean, I've definitely learned a lot in terms of the preconceptions of returning back home and going to Africa for investments or entrepreneurial opportunities. I think definitely the number one key thing learn is you need to go there and see everything firsthand on the ground. Literally go there physically and just see how things work and exactly how things will run before starting up anything or doing anything like that. So it's excellent. I mean, how would you guys like to end this off?
For me, Patrick, as one of our guests, is highlight the most important thing is to go there, stop having your own assumption, and stop thinking about what the media is saying. Well, I think I've touched base on this before in one of our episodes. I'm seeing Africa as Wakanda in a few years' time. So maybe within that aspect of it, is for us Africans that are in this Western world to try and realize and capture what we have. Because we don't want to go back and start saying the outsiders have taken us, our land or our stuff. That would be naive of us. So thank you, Patrick, to be here, and especially that Ghana well more than us because you're there. And this topic is very educational because it's eye-opening now, and I'm sure our listeners won't be scared by what the media is saying or what people are saying. Just go. If you want to be there for 1 week, 2 months, 6 months, or a whole year, just go and experience. Whatever you want to do, you pause it and you come back and then you take it from there. But don't leave it too late. Don't leave it too late. It might be our loss because Africa is the motherhood.
Yeah, I just echo a lot of the stuff that you guys have said. Nothing much to add, but I think I watched an interview by Akon, who's doing a lot of good things in Africa, and he literally said, like, what are you here doing? Like, if you're not investing in Africa, it doesn't make any sense. I feel like in every generation, you always hear people saying, invest in it, invest in it. It becomes like a Bitcoin conversation anyway. Invest, invest, invest. You don't invest. By the time you realize it's just gone past you. So I just feel like we have to be switched on and know exactly what's going on in Africa and be part of that movement, because we are all Africans at the end of the day. So we need to be part of that and bring in that knowledge kind of transfer that Patrick mentioned before, how we could sustain that.
Okay, so just to conclude, as I said earlier on, we need to visit. We need to go to Africa or Ghana specifically to understand, to do our own assessment based on our interests and the area that we want to invest in. So the notion of going back to Africa or investing back in a specific country in Africa is not actually, most of the time it comes across as a charity kind of a plea that people please come back, but it's just because of the opportunities there. I think the whole notion is, if you invest in your own backyard or your own home, it's better than foreigners coming to invest. But there's no barrier to foreigners coming. But please, people who are Africans, they should come because the opportunities there. Just imagine, Africa is the only continent that has the sun, almost every day. Well, what have we done to solar, technology? You understand? But if we are not going back, we are not learning those skills to go back. An investor will just go there, build a huge plant, and be taking, all the profit and revenue and ship back to his own country. But if Africans who are outside invest in those opportunities, it still stays in Africa. But Africa is open not only for Africans, but everybody. But it's better for you to invest in your own home or backyard than somebody else coming to benefit from the opportunities.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for listening. Thank you very much, Patrick, for coming and joining us today.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
And thank you for our listeners. If you've got any questions or if there's anything that you say,
we'll give you Patrick's email address. Send it to him.
do get in touch and ask us, and we can try and help in any way possible.